Oh, oh, hi. How long have you been waiting here? Ooh, yeah. Sorry about that. I've been a wee bit busy. Who needs consistency, anyways? All I know is that these new Transformers comics have been hitting. Yes, the Transformers comics have gone through yet another reboot, the second since the most recent relaunch back in 2019 under IDW. Now another hand has touched the spark of this franchise, that being of Walking Dead Invincible co-creator Robert. I hope everyone forgets about Irredeemable Ant-Man Kirkman. The Energon Universe, as it has been so bluntly titled, is a new publishing line under Kirkman's own personal brand Skybound, which itself is a brand underneath the company of Image Comics. The Transformers comic book license was the G.I. Joe license, belonged to IDW for comic publishing for a very long time, and created many well-loved and highly respected comic book runs, which obviously made fans tentatively nervous about the prospect of a new publishing house purchasing the license, abandoning years of pre-established lore and history in sake of a brand new reboot. When it was announced that Robert Kirkman had gained the rights to create comics for the franchise under his brands, some were excited, some were nervous, some didn't even know it was a thing, because not everyone is as chronically online as you or I. But regardless, no one would know how these books were until they were released. Now, the first of these books in the Energon universe is Void Rivals, which is a book we will not be talking about today, but you should read regardless because it is very, very good. Near the end of Void Rivals issue 1, the protagonists of the story find what they believe to be a dormant craft crashed on the moon that they've been stranded on, only to power it on and realize very quickly that there is more to this ship than meets the eye. The ship transforms itself into a giant towering robot that identifies itself as Jetfire, and he is of Cybertron. And he very quickly realizes that he is not where he needs to be, and he needs to go home. So he takes off and leaves our protagonist stranded on the moon with no way out. And I'll be honest, when I picked this book up the first time, I didn't know that it was part of the Energon universe. I didn't know that because I just saw it, and I was like, oh, what's this? This is cool. And then I brought it home, and then I read it, and then I realized that it had a transformer at the end of the issue, which was very unexpected, but pleasantly surprised to see it. Needless to say, I got on my computer as fast as I could and looked up when the first issue of the Transformers run was coming out, which thankfully, at that point, was not too far away. First issue released in October, and man oh man was it good. And in the wise words of Rob from Comics Explained, man, let me tell you something, man. Man, let me tell you something, man. It was real good. It was real good. The book itself is being worked on by Daniel Warren Johnson as both a writer and artist, with Mike Spicer on colors and Russ Wooten on lettering. And let me say, before I jump into praising D-Dub's work, because it deserves praise, it seriously does, I want to take a minute to just appreciate the letterers and the inker, because I feel like they don't get as much appreciation as they should. Russ's lettering gives this book such a visceral feeling. It's punk. Every speech bubble and onomatopoeia feels like it weighs 10 tons, which works very well for robots that weigh approximately that much anyways. Mike's coloring really helps to elevate the illustrations by D-Dubs. There's a vibrancy to this book that really helps to bring it to life. It's the spark that ignites the tinder of D-Dub's pencil work and ink work, especially when it comes to the background work, which you will see later on, because man, is it good. Now, this is not the first time this triple threat has worked on a book together. They previously worked on the spectacular Do a Powerbomb, which, if you have not read, you should read regardless, because even if you're not a wrestling fan, it's still a super good book. So seeing them all work in tandem here under the Transformers title feels so natural and earned, like Prime, Miller, and Varney. Like, it's perfect. And our issue begins proving that right with a, as of time of filming, unclear shot to the past of a pack of Bell AH-1 attack helicopters, which, if you don't know, are the helicopters that the Dragonfly from G.I. Joe are based on. Setting the tone for the rest of this book, followed by the Ark, the Autobot ship, an injured soldier, and a deactivated Optimus Prime. What does all this mean? Who knows? But it's interrupted by a young man and his father, elbow deep in brew, as our book starts us off with a tragic and common tale. The ex-soldier father mourning the loss of what we presume to be his son. His surviving son, Spike, trying his best to honor and remember him by staring into the stars. His father wants nothing to do with it and leaves, with a very sour note to end on. Spike meets up with his friend Carly, who has perhaps the single coolest looking vehicle ever put to steel and rubber. This van has what looks like Gandalf, a dragon, and Conan the Barbarian airbrushed along the side. Hasbro, I'm going to need this in 1/12 scale on my desk by 8 o'clock. Our two precocious young protagonists share a moment together before they are rudely interrupted by the hand of the plot, falling deep off a cliffside into a crashed spaceship. Beautifully illustrated, by the way. I just want to take a minute to say how wonderful this looks. The amount of technical greeblies and wires, piping, and everything in between on the thrusters gives a feeling of early Star Wars, like 77 Star Wars, in the best way possible. But their chance to admire its architectural design is cut short as they quickly realize that this ship holds more
to them
than meets. I already did that like a minute ago. It's Transformers. The Transformers are in that ship. It's the Transformer ship. Specifically Jetfire, who we met at the end of Void Rivals issue 1. It was important to bring this up. Who is frantically trying to restart the repair process to revive his fellow Cybertronian soldiers. Unfortunately for him, the first one to wake is his old friend Starscream.
Starscream, my old friend. I haven't seen you for centuries.
Jetfire, comrade, thank you for waking me. I'm glad to find you've picked the right side.
Starscream does not hesitate, not for a second. He sends a blast through Bumblebee's face the first second he gets. And presumably he kills Bumblebee, which is not uncommon for Transformers comics. Hell, the very first G.I. Joe crossover had Bumblebee get killed by the Joes.
Oh shit! They jumping me! They jumping me!
Jetfire very quickly realizes his error and tries to stop Starscream, but...
You picked the wrong side, Lance.
However, Starscream is not the only one to wake up, as Optimus Prime himself grabs Starscream by the Null Ray and hits him with a devastating clothesline across the chest.
Shooting beings when they lie helpless. Starscream, I thought you were a warrior.
Unlike you, Optimus Prime, I do whatever it takes.
And that's not all. Optimus is a fan of professional wrestling, apparently, as he hits Starscream with a vicious... Apparently not just Optimus has been getting into Earth wrestling, as Ratchet comes in with... As the Decepticons awaken more and more, Optimus attempts to buy time for his fellow Autobots and new human friends, finding, unfortunately, the remains of Bumblebee. Starscream and Soundwave use his weakness to their advantage and attempt to kill the leader of the Autobots once and for all. But thanks to his new human friends, Optimus makes the one and only decision he can. He destroys Teletran 1. Thereby destroying any chance he has of reviving his fellow Autobots, but also stopping the Decepticons from reviving any more in their army. Ratchet and Prime blast through the fires of explosions.
Ratchet, transform and roll out.
As Starscream and Skywarp attempt to hunt down the last two Autobots, Jetfire intercepts, taking the shots targeted to Prime, and in turn sacrificing himself for the last of the Primes. A tragic loss for the Autobots. It is an equally tragic loss for the Decepticons. They've lost their last chance to revive their fallen comrades, and the Decepticon infiltrator Soundwave makes a comment that Starscream is very unhappy with.
What do you mean it can't fix us?
Teletran 1 is damaged beyond our current capabilities of repair. We need energon and raw materials to bring it back to 100% functionality. We are the only Decepticon warriors for now.
Well, how do we fix it?
I sent Laserbeak to scout for resources that we can convert into the kind of fuel we need. He has sent me coordinates of possible sources of energon.
Why are you all looking at me?
You have the most energon reserved. Thus, the harvesting is up to you. It's what make...
Do not say his name. I am the leader of the Decepticons now.
Starscream takes it upon himself to find the necessary fuel to revive and repair the Decepticons, and he does so at the power plant where, coincidentally, Spike's father works. And, setting the tone for issues to come, Starscream pops one of the humans here like a balloon. The first issue has a strong tone, doesn't it? And issue 2, it does not disappoint. Our fearless leader, Optimus Prime, steps out into the sunlight for the very first time, basking in its natural beauty, in awe of it as he quickly realizes that this is a very, very fragile world. His guilt is overwhelming, proving that Optimus, in this version at least, is unlike a lot of other versions. He cares about the smallest creatures and will, with no doubt, protect this world to the last of his being. Spike and Optimus share a heartfelt conversation together about the difference of their lives and the definition of family. But out of the woodwork, though, Ratchet has successfully revived the one and only Autobot Knuckles, Cliffjumper. Prime is beyond happy to see his friend, but Cliffjumper is not so happy to see these humans. It's going to take a little bit of time for everyone to get used to each other. And unfortunately, it's going to take even longer to revive the rest of the Autobots. Meanwhile, at the power plant, Spike's father is trying desperately to convince local law enforcement that he is not crazy. And yes, a giant flying plane did just squish his friend. Well, they don't believe him, of course, until another one shows up. Starscream's plan evidently is working very well, as the Decepticons are beginning to create fuel source for them to heal and empower themselves. But they're not the only ones flying nearby. A local military jet is in the area, the pilots Frosting and Viper 2 to intercept the Decepticons. Starscream, seeing this as a fun aside as he waits for the fuel to ready, soars off and very, very quickly decimates this jet, batting it away like a baseball, forcing the two pilots to eject and splattering Frosting like a grape. Viper 2 drops his chute and turns on a jetpack glider, which honestly probably should have just hit that right away, charging at Starscream with nothing but a flare gun, blinding him momentarily so he can flee. And as he does... Meanwhile, at the plant, Spike's father attempts to steal a cop car and flee, peeling out as ironically the very same plane that Starscream batted away comes crashing down on top of Skywarp's Soundwave. The explosion large enough for Optimus and the others to see.
Spike, they've wasted no time. The Decepticons are attacking your home.
What? Why?
They'll take Energon from anywhere they can get it, and happily will do so by force.
Optimus, we need to find energy sources. Fighting the Decepticons...
We have no choice, Ratchet. I brought our war to this beautiful place. Even if by accident, it is my duty to now defend it.
Spike and Optimus drive off to the power plant, and Carly drives home as fast as she can. However, certain red robot bird scans the airbrush Optimus Prime on the side of her van and follows. At home, Spike's father grabs a handful of military armament, strapping himself with shotguns, rifles, grenades, and whatever else he can find, and very quickly realized that the man Starscream killed at the end of Issue 1 was in fact Carly's father. Issue 2 ends with a short teaser of Duke, the brand new ongoing by Joshua Williamson, releasing later this December, which I will definitely be making a video about as well, so stick around for that. These 2 issues have been fantastic, sincerely. Some of the best comics that I've read in a very long time, and it gives me a very strong hope for what's to come later in this universe. I think it might even be set in the 80s, just a guess, from all the analog technology, from the airbrushed van, from the weapons that look straight out of the Vietnam era, from the jets, vehicles, everything. I think it's set in the 80s or like late 70s or something. But I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see what comes next, which we will know what's coming next. By the time this video is out, issue 3 would be out. I believe it's coming out the same day as this video releases. So do yourself a favor, go to your local comic store, pick up Void Rivals, if you can find it, pick up the first 3 issues of the Transformers run, and put in an order for the Duke and Cobra Commander miniseries that will be starting here very soon. So yeah, you don't want to miss out on this. I promise you don't. It's really, really good. But I think that's about it. If you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it, please let me know down below with a comment, like, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Take care.